Welcome to the Powered with Love podcast, the podcast that brings to you what's working on the coalface from people within our community who are defying the odds. The podcast that gives you the ability to power your life with love. I'm the host, Stephen Cromedy, and let's get stuck into today's edition. Luke, thanks for coming in.
No worries.
To be on Powered with Love. Reason why we've chosen you is because I think you have the characteristics that if a lot of people embrace those characteristics, they might be surprised what it is they might be able to achieve. Because it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows for you.
Nah, definitely not.
And the reason why you're in here is because you have a successful business in our region. And you've gone through this corona epidemic.
Yeah.
And you've gone through it okay.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying your bills, you're getting a little bit of income, you're going through okay.
Yeah.
So I really think that the foundation someone lays in the beginning is what sees them through times like we've just been through.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Let's go back to when you started the business. What year did you start the business?
In 2010, Fresh started.
Okay. And Fresh in 2010, what was it? It wasn't a CrossFit studio. What was it?
No, it was outdoor training. So started off doing just one-on-one PT training and then branched into just outdoor boot camp out of school.
Okay, so let's just go back prior to when you commenced the business.
Yeah.
What were you doing for work the year before?
I worked as a part-time trainer for Robbie O.
Yes.
Running boot camp with him. And whilst I was still studying, I mowed lawns and stuff to get an income come in.
Okay. And what prompted you to get into the industry in the first place? Where were you at as a person? Where was your health at?
In 2000 when I was 19, I was a pretty overweight sort of kid growing up. When I was 19, I wanted to join the Fireys. So their physical test is pretty grueling. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting at a sort of 90 odd kilos, thereabouts, and knew I was never going to get there if I was that sort of weight. So I put myself on a bit of a diet, put myself on a treadmill mainly to start with, and stripped about 20 kilos in 3 months.
Wow.
And then from there, just sort of fell in love with training, felt like really good in myself, and then just wanted to help and push that onto other people with how good I felt.
So is that what led to working with Robbie O?
Yeah, sort of like I was pursuing that. And then my brother was mates with Robbie O, mm-hmm. And Robbie O just put up that he was after a trainer. So I contacted him and he got me in to do one of his boot camps and got my ass kicked. And then from there, he wanted to make sure that whatever I was to dish out to a person, I could take myself. So for like a week, I backed up, did morning session, afternoon session, and just got drilled basically for a week. And then from there, went on and helped him run his boot camp and sort of helped him build that up. But
so when you worked for him, he was commencing that, was he?
No, he was already running,
yes.
But he wanted to build it up a bit more and stuff like that. So I jumped on board to help him and to move it into other areas.
And so how long were you there for?
Would have been at least 6 months.
Okay, and what would have been the 3 things that you learned there? If there were 3 things, what were the 3 things that you took away?
Just he taught me to be a good trainer, and that basically you can't dish out to people what you can't take yourself, but also it's just all about people. It's all about caring about people and just having that good relationships with people.
I guess what I really like about what you've said already is that you wanted people to feel the same way that you did. as a result of getting your health in order and doing exercise every day. And I think with what you've done and how you go about it, I think that's evident in the culture of Fresh.
Yeah.
And it's evident in how you work with the people, with your clients, because they're not just clients, they're people that you connect with on a level where you all have one thing in common. You know, you're not there to rip your shirts off, even though some of you do. You're not there to rip your shirts off and posture and try and outdo everyone, even though there is some healthy competition there.
Yeah.
It's all about coming together to hopefully do some exercise that ultimately changes your state, changes the way you feel, and maybe have you more mobile, living a little bit longer. But that's evident. And so anyway, that's why you got into the industry. Why did you go out and do your own thing?
I just needed that little bit more. I'm the type of person that likes a challenge, and once I started to try and get some PT clients, I get that thrill in the chase and the thrill of building something. So pretty much just started with the PT stuff and then went to the boot camp stuff and then just got excited about building it bigger and bigger and bigger. And then from there, just wanted to keep growing it.
So 2009, you commenced?
2010. We started
2000,
with the boot
okay,
camps, yeah.
2010. How many you were operating at that point at the back of a public school?
Yep. Yeah, Elamore Vale Public School.
And talk to us about how you found your clients, because there might be people out there that are thinking about starting a business, or they have a business up and running and they're wondering how they grow their followers. How did you grow your followers? Where did they come from?
Well, back then it was a bit easier. A lot of my members and stuff come from Facebook. So back then there was a lot more organic reach, and I'd put a post up and could shoot it into different groups and everyone would see it. So when I started training people, doing my own thing, I started with one person that I was training out of my backyard, and then just had this idea to run a challenge. And then from there I put a post out on Facebook, and the next day I had 20 odd new clients just from that challenge. And then just grew it through Facebook. You didn't have to pay. There wasn't all this stuff that there is now with the organic reach, not getting to anyone. So it was a lot easier back then to build business.
And from memory, you used to have people come in, transform their life, go through some body changes themselves, and some mental, obviously, your physical state is attached to your mental state. And you'd have these people that you would use as testimonials
100%.
As well.
Yeah. Yep. So we had, through the challenges that I ran, we had some really good weight loss and some good muscle gains and stuff like that. And I just used those testimonials and the before and after photos to gain new clients.
So you know what I'd call that? The power of one.
Yeah.
So what I mean by the power of one, you started in your backyard, you worked with your ethos of really wanting to build a business through helping people discover health and discover how that could have them feel differently. So you approached people that wanted to achieve the same.
Yeah.
And they were drawn to you. And then the power of one, delivering on that level of service and care so much that with that power of one, every person became a testimonial. And I think that's what business is all about. I think all these years down the track, Luke, I think that no matter what business you're in, whether you have 5,000 people, one person, 10 people, it doesn't matter what the size of your business is, you need to look at your clients as the power of one and looking after that person like they're your only client. Because when you had that person in your backyard, how much did they feel like they were your only client, or did they feel like they were competing with 10 or 50 people?
No. Well, they were my only client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's testimony to your success, because all these years down the track, I think every single member in your gym, or the majority of them, would feel like they're your only client. So that power of one is definitely alive and well. So talk to us about your first 48 months in business, what happened in your life?
Well, a lot. First 48 months, yeah, so much happened. We went from, as I said, doing personal training to then boot camp. Boot camp, we grew to a stage where we were getting sort of 50 odd people to a session at certain sessions. From there, I had to put on a couple of trainers to help me out, just casually. One of those trainers is now actually my wife, and also my brother-in-law at the time. So from there, we outgrew the school as such. Wet weather sort of played a big part in it. And then I got into my first shed. So the first shed, I think, come about 12 months it might have been after I started the boot camp, to then move indoors and take everyone indoors so I could run all year round, basically.
And so I could imagine when you're starting off the way that you did, you were managing your overheads really well, hence starting off in your backyard, and you experienced being in profit very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, I had really no overhead. I was paying about $20 a session to the school, thereabouts. Other than that, it was just the equipment that I bought.
And again, it doesn't matter what business you have. And, you know, E-Myth revised or revisited Michael Gerber. It's really important when you're starting a business that you're spending money in the key areas. And some people might be thinking, well, hey, listen, you know what? This is really easy to do if you are starting off as a personal trainer to keep your expenses low. It doesn't matter what the size of your business is. You can be spending a couple of $100,000 on a fit out, or you can spend a fraction of the money on making sure that the customers that you're reaching and servicing, you're able to provide them phenomenal value. And that's exactly what you did. You kept those overheads low, made sure there was more cash coming in than what there was going out, and reinvested that in your business. Again, hear your whole reasoning behind wanting to go into a building. It was to provide that better space for people to exercise in.
Yeah, for sure.
So during that time, you sold a home?
Yeah, I sold a home. I went through a relationship breakdown in my first marriage, and ended up getting divorced out of that. Out of something bad comes something good. I've got a 9-year-old, or turning 9 this year, little boy Ryder, who's an amazing kid. So out of that situation come a really good sort of product out of him.
Yeah, and look at what's happened, you know, and I think that's important for people to understand, because here we are 10 years down the track. We have a business that's gotten through COVID. It's done really well. They need to hear these things have happened, because a lot of people say, well, if this didn't happen, that would have worked out different. If it wasn't for this, I would have had that. And here you are, first 24 months of business, everything's going really well. We hit the wall, our marriage breaks down, we're selling our property, we're starting again, we're self-employed. And again, I think it comes back to that ethos, the foundations that the business was built within, built on, because, you know, 24 months down the track, here you are buying another, or there you were buying another property, getting, you know, not only back on your feet, but wow, you've achieved some phenomenal things. Hence why you're here, because I think a lot of people can draw some strength out of your story so they can go out and do what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So to survive in your industry, not only survive, but thrive, 10 years in the industry, it takes some serious character, takes some reinventing along the way. What's some of the things that you believe that you've done throughout your time that have seen you sitting here, that's seeing you sitting here 10 years later?
10 years in this industry is pretty lengthy. I do know a few personal trainers that have tried to get into the industry and haven't sort of lasted the first 12 months because it's pretty cutthroat. Big thing for us is I've always thrived on the community aspect, so which is why I love the group training scene. The social aspect for people, just people come in and they're from all different walks of life, but in that one moment, in that 1 hour session, it doesn't really matter. It just brings all these different people together, and people walk away and they become best friends with people that they never ever thought they would be. Out of the gym, we've seen relationships form. We've seen babies be born out of those relationships. Just so many good things come from that community aspect. But in saying that too, it can also be the downfall. It's definitely something that over this last 10 years, the community aspect can be the greatest thing, but it can also be the worst thing for the business.
Yeah, and I guess, with an up, there's a down. With a hot, there's a cold. It's making sure that you understand that no matter what you're doing, you're going to have to face everything. And it's more the long-term game. Even right now, you've had to make decisions not based on short-term, but long-term.
Yeah.
And I think that's formed the basis under every decision that you've made. And you keep coming back to this community. That community feeling, that community aspect, the fact that someone or people have a sense of belonging to, that's been the glue of what you've done. In saying that, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, you were at that crossroads. And I can remember at that point, CrossFit Studio, and there was probably maybe 50% of the members were very heavily, very heavy into competing. As a matter of fact, you were competing as well.
Yeah.
And the type of members that you had there were completely different to the members that you have there now. What made you stand at those crossroads and go the way that you've gone? Because at that time, it was a watershed moment. You lost quite a few members within a short period because you made the decision that you weren't going to go down that track of, having everyone turn up to have the fastest time and, every day was at that point was a competition. What made you stand there and make that decision to not continue to go down that track?
Well, it like the industry is forever changing. CrossFit, what it was a few years ago, isn't what it is today. So back a few years ago, the CrossFit was the competition side of it. That was very big, and there was a lot of competitions, like a lot of local competitions and stuff that people could go do. And it's just because I was competing myself as well, it's a path that I started to go down, but then I had to sort of sit back and remind myself of why I started the business in the first place. And the whole reason was to help change people's lives, and to make them feel better about themselves and to just improve overall life. So doing the whole competition and the whole competitive CrossFit space, that wasn't in the greater picture.
And why do you think that wasn't in the greater picture? Why do you think that was working against your ethos of wanting to help improve people's lives through fitness?
With the whole competitiveness, it sort of it didn't drag the business down. It just segregated parts of it. So there were the ones that wanted to compete, then there were the ones that just purely wanted to come in and do fitness. So with those that wanted to compete, they wanted to do the complex movements, the snatches and the muscle ups and all of that all the time, where the everyday person doesn't want to do that, or certainly doesn't need to do that. So it was a bit of a division in programming as well. So it made life a little bit harder trying to battle with getting a happy medium to suit everyone. But you can't. You can't make everyone happy. You can't do something that suits everyone. So I just chose back then to go down a path that directly suited the majority of the people, not the minority.
And also, it goes back in line with your whole existence as to why you went to the business in the first place. And I really hope people are listening to this and have stayed tuned in, because a lot of times, the recipe has a secret ingredient. It's just that one little ingredient, and everyone tries to overcomplicate it. And I know that Albert Einstein said that true genius is the capability of keeping things simple. It's simplicity that's genius. And the simplicity in what you've done is you've always brought everything back to the core of why you decided to go into business in the first place, which is you wanted people to enjoy the process, feel good about being healthy. You know, it's about improving people's lives. So that brings us to current time. Here we are in current time. We've just been through COVID. There's a lot of businesses, apps, you know, whether it's in the health, you know, fitness industry, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. And some industries are most definitely been hurt more than others. Some have been absolutely wiped out. But what did you do? And, you know, on the 13th, you're about to open back up. Everything's exciting. But what did you do to get through this period? How did you navigate yourself through it?
It was hard at the start. We had just come off a pretty tough time as well with a relocation of the business. So at the start of the year, we didn't even know if we were going to have a gym to open. We went through a bit of a struggle to find a place to relocate to after we got kicked out of where we were. So I suppose that helped me learn to deal with stress a lot. So when it come to the point on the 23rd of March when they gave the orders for everyone to close down, I was stressed, but I wasn't. I was pretty calm about the whole situation, and I just knew that we had a strong community from what had already gone on in the previous few months, and I just based sort of my hope that that community would get us through it.
Wow. So your number one strategy was, you know what? My clients, and I love how you refer to your clients, the community. So essentially you said to yourself, hey, you know what? My clients are going to get us through this. Yeah,
basically, like that was my only hope really, was that everyone would have our back, or the majority that could. So like we're still down. We've still lost a lot of money over this time, but it was mainly from people that lost their jobs or got their hours cut back, or something might have happened in their life that they had to put their membership on hold or had to cancel.
Yeah, but I think it's really important that your revenue's down, you've taken a hit, but you're viable. It's a viable business. If we were to look at the spreadsheet, there's still more money coming in than what's going out. Now, it might only be marginal.
Yeah,
but you still have a viable business through one of the worst unpredicted, one of the most. It's just a crazy time.
Like, we definitely didn't know it was going to happen. Yeah,
I'm trying not to use that word unprecedented. Yeah. Everyone says it. It's so overused. But these unprecedented times, here we were in an economy that was already fractured with a pandemic that really no one thought or knew exactly. No one understood exactly where it would go or what the depth of it would be. And your industry was, without a shadow of doubt, you were basically in a stage 4 lockdown. Here we were in a stage 3, but technically speaking, as an industry itself, it was a stage 4. You couldn't operate. It was done.
Yeah.
Doors shut.
Yeah. So the only thing we could do was go online.
Okay. So how quickly did you make that decision to go online?
Pretty much straight away.
Okay.
So we just went, okay, well, for those that are willing and are able to keep their memberships running, we basically just open slather majority of our equipment and said, come and take what you need.
Yep. So number 1, you went to an online business.
Yeah.
Number 2, what else did you do to pivot, to change what you did?
Well, just, kind of the leasing out of equipment helped to keep everything running.
Okay. So that's really good. Like, instead of just having the equipment sitting there, number 1, we'll pivot, we'll go online and provide an online training program.
Yeah.
Number 2, hire out the equipment. Now, was there anything else that you did throughout that time to make sure that you were able to get through or provide a high level of service to your clients, to your community?
Well, we went, as it said, like we went online, we programmed every day, we did videos up for the clients for like an instructional video so that they would still feel like that sort of gym feeling. Ree is the girl who works with me. She did the videos alongside me, so it gave the members that feeling that we were still instructing a class, and then they went and did the workout, and then for those that wanted to, posted their results. So it still kind of gave that community aspect to the whole online thing. Don't get me wrong, it's really, really hard to keep everyone motivated online.
So what's the tips what did you do to keep people motivated online?
Well, I just tried to keep touch with people as much as I could.
As in personally?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if we hadn't heard from anyone or whatnot, I would send them a message, or Ree would send them a message, and just touch base with people and see how they were going. If I hadn't seen that they were working out or hadn't been posting results, I'd send them a message just to touch base to see how everyone was going. Some people just purely turned around and said, we're not doing anything, we can't get motivated, we're just going to wait until the gym reopens. So it was hard in that sense, because it's like, well, what do? You can't go and give them a kick up the arse to get moving, because we're all in lockdown.
So essentially, you ended up working more, not less.
Yeah, it was pretty hard work trying to keep on track of it and keep everyone up to date.
And you know what? It's not directly related with Fresh, and we'll get back to Fresh in a minute, but you also diversified as well. You worked on other income streams. And so where did you diversify and what did you do?
Well, previous to this, I did some pest control with a good mate of mine. So I diversified and basically from Fresh didn't give myself an income and went and did some pest control work and a few other bits and pieces to basically get an income coming in.
And that worked really well for you?
Yeah.
You were getting, how many sprays on average a week?
Oh,
if you averaged it out.
Well, I kind of varied. So sometimes it'd be 10, thereabouts.
Wow. And again, I think for the listener, a lot of your jobs came from people in your community.
Yeah, it did. It did. So
isn't it funny? So when you said the community would get you through, hey, you know what? The gym might have been at a particular place with the regulations. However, your community got behind you in the other service that you're providing, which is pest services.
Yeah. So, and then from that, I have also diversified and taken on another business as well with another mate, just to cover ourselves in future.
So you have another business now that you decided to open up right in the middle of COVID. So, here we are, and it's very sad. There are going to be people that there's people that have lost their lives. There's people that their businesses have closed. There's people where they've lost their place of employment, and all of this could have happened to you. And I think again, if we go right back to your first 24 months, first 48 months, here you are starting a business, going into the new shed. I remember seeing a post or something with Michelle Bridges or something at the time. You were really into it, and you still are into it, and your marriage broke down. You walked away from your property. You didn't walk away with a hell of a lot of money. And then 2 years, 3 years after that, buying another property. It's a beautiful property, and your business is not only surviving, it's thriving. And through that diversity, through understanding it's all about the community, it's about improving people's lives. You've not only helped improve people's lives through what you do, they've stayed with you and helped you with these pest services during that time frame, and now launching this business that's in air conditioning. A lot of your clients have been the same people.
Yeah, 100%. When the gym closed down, I basically put up a post on Facebook and said, I'm now doing pest stuff if anyone needs it, and straight up got a heap of hits, and a lot of them were from gym people. Just basically saying, yep, come around. And for some of those people, I'd rock up to their house and I'd be like, what are you having issues with? And they're like, oh, nothing, but we wanted to give you some work and give you an income, which was amazing.
And you've got the air conditioning company up and running, which does services. What's it do? What do you provide?
So the Aircon business is a cleaning and servicing business for aircons, yeah.
Yep. And you also provide a compliance, like when it comes to smoke alarms as well. There's a compliance arm of the company looking after investment properties.
Yeah, so we're branching that business as well into a compliance side for smoke alarms, and trying to get in and work with landlords and rental property managers to look after those houses, yeah. So
here we are in the middle of COVID. What was your first month of trading with that company?
I think we did sort of close to nearly 10 grand, yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So let's just hear that again. In the middle of COVID, this lunatic decides to start up another company when everyone else is saying there's no work, buys a van, gets it branded, gets the equipment, and in your very first month of trading, turns over nearly $10,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So why are you into this company? So you've got this ethos over here. It's about having people feel the same way that you do.
Yeah.
What's driving this business? What's your ethos? What's your why?
My why for that is I'm a business person as well. Like, it's the whole reason why I built Fresh, but I've just got that that sense of me that wants that more. And for that, I needed to do something. I have a young family. We've got a baby on the way. I've also got a 2.5-year-old as well as my 8-year-old son. And I needed to cover ourselves if anything like this hit us again, to make sure that my family was going to be looked after. And
I think that's massive. I think that's huge. What is it? And that's going to be a driving force behind your energy, behind your passion to turn up and do what it is that you need to do. But what do you think you're providing to your clients? Why? What are you providing to that community that you believe no one else can?
Just A+ service, basically. So with that side of it, we're just trying to get awareness out there that the air that we breathe and the air that gets recycled through your air conditioners is pretty poor if they're not maintained. So I suppose it plays on the health side of it as well. In the fitness side, I'm looking after like people's mental health and people's physical well-being. But then from the air conditioner side of it, there's the health side of it for just being healthy. And
do you truly believe that?
Yeah, 100%.
So you truly believe that by servicing the air conditioners that you're helping provide a better quality of air?
Yeah, so when I first got into it, so I've in business with a mate, Adrian, with this side of the business. And when I first got into it, it was a pretty big and quick jump. Like, we didn't muck around. It was talked about, and then within a week we had a business up and running and basically going on. But I suppose for that side of it, when I first looked at it, I was like, yeah, like, this is going to be good financially and that side of things. But as I've started to work on these air conditioners and realising basically the poor health that people are like living in it with some of these air conditioning units is crazy.
Is it scientifically proven?
Yeah, there's articles that there's the air that you breathe that being recirculated through an air conditioner can actually make you sick.
Wow. Well, you know what? I think this is a good place to wrap up, and I really think we can condense this down to a number of things. And I think, number one, you need to do something you're passionate about. So your passion came from getting your own health in order, and you wanted other people to feel what you felt. Number two, you've got to come from a place that it's not just about the money. If it's just about the money, well, then you're going to be transactional. You know, what you've wanted to do, and you make no mistake that you want to earn money, how can you go and buy that beautiful home that you have? How can you get and do the things that you do for your family? You've had 4 or 5 overseas holidays since I've known you. Yeah, you're living a really nice life. You can't do that just by being transactional. It'll be short-lived, but you have made sure that you've tied that into a really purposeful why, and that is you want to improve people's lives through health. And I think number 3, you've got to be prepared to do what other people aren't prepared to do. So you've grinded, you're still grinding. And I think the more successful you become, the more that you've got to grind. And then I think number 4, you've got to make sure that you're focused on solutions. And I think all the way through this, what people will pick up on is Luke's solution-based. No matter what he's hit, no matter when he's hit it, he's been solution-based each and every single time. Without even realizing it, the last thing that you've done, number 5, is I read a book, and it's called The Mistake Millionaires Make. And one of the things that you've now done, you've now got 3 different income streams coming in. And with those 3 different income streams, here's what this book spoke about in one of the mistakes millionaires make, that what they do is they become heavily reliant on just one source of income. And what happens when that income stream is turned off? Well, they lose everything. They're done.
Yeah.
So you've now got 3 income streams that it doesn't matter which one of those goes through a bit of a rough time or turns off, that you've got another 2 income streams coming in. And I think the underlying foundation that's had you, come through this for 10 years, and congratulations. I'm not even sure if you know the statistics, right? In the first year, 80% of businesses fail, right? Then of those businesses, so we've got 20% left over, right? So of that 100%, 10 years later, another 80% have closed down.
It's crazy.
So here's what he's done: kept the overheads low and kept the cash flow high. Congratulations, Luke. Very successful. Good to see someone in the local community doing as well as what you are. And if anyone's looking at, doing some exercise, well, then you've heard him talk about it. Fresh Fitness is where it's at Cardiff. Yep. And it sounds as though he can help you with everything. So, Luke, thank you for coming in. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.